Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Political Vigilante. I am here with Ron Placone.
What up, everybody?
Before we talk about the California primary, which is today, June 5th, let's talk about our tour.
Yeah, second leg coming up, everybody. June 20th through 24th. We're going to Nashville, Huntsville, Asheville, Louisville, and Atlanta.
Come out, get tickets at ronplacone.com or grahamelwood.com. Grahamelwood.com is in the show notes below. Come out, support the show, guys. It's more than just stand-up comedy. It's a political rally. It's activism. It's a great way to get involved because we're going to have progressive organizations there. We do a whole meet and greet afterwards. You take photos. You can talk to, if we get some candidates out, or we're going to have some information from open primaries and all this stuff that you can do to get involved. Because many of you are like, wow, you know, those states you're going to is where I live, and there's such red states or whatever, but we want progressives out. You know, bring your conservative friends because our comedy's for everybody because they want us divided. So check it out, June 20th through the 24th.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about the California primary. It's June 5th is the election. What are some of the candidates or races that you're following or excited about?
Well, I mean, the candidate I'm most excited about, if I had to just pick one, would have to be Gail McLaughlin. I think Gail is fantastic. I think she'd make an excellent lieutenant governor. And she's the type of person you want to see in office because she has a long history of getting stuff done and building alliances. And, I mean, she went up against Big Oil in Richmond, California, and she won.
Yeah, I think it's her story is so much of like what it's inspiring, and I talk about it on this show. I'm like, get involved on a local level because you're like, oh, I live in some little town like Richmond, California. How can I affect big change on a global, on a national level? Well, here's how.
Yeah.
She stacked the city council with progressives. There's 7 seats. She got 5 of them were actual progressives. She got them voted in there. And Chevron, she said, had a desk like next to the city hall, like in City Hall. And that's how much power the oil companies had.
Well, and that's the thing, like, whenever people get discouraged about voting, I totally understand those frustrations. But I don't think it's because, oh, there's absolutely nothing you can do. I think it's because our priorities are completely backwards. You know, everyone says, like, presidential is usually the most important, and then midterms, and then local. It should be the other way around. Yeah. Local's the most important. That's where your voice truly freaking matters. And presidential is by far the least important.
Well, your president doesn't affect trash pickup, libraries, streets. I mean,
plus you got the electoral college.
Yeah.
You got, I mean, there's so many things. Meanwhile, local, that's where you can really change some things in your backyard. And if you do that, well, that can multiply because hopefully other people are doing the same thing in their backyards. And that's how real change kind of occurs. So.
I believe it's like a high tide raises all boats. You get all these progressives and maybe these smaller positions in local small governments, and then they start working up and just more progressives and people going, oh, wait, this is how my government should work. My mayor should be voting to get rid of oil, you know, that's contaminating, and my mayor should be helping local homeowners and small business owners in my little town. And you know what? Now she's going to run for lieutenant governor. Well, she's got my vote.
Yeah. Absolutely. And they like it that that's not the case, though, Graham. They really like that. They like to make it as hard as possible for you to even find out when your local elections are.
Well, it's why there's like, you know, here in like Los Angeles County, you see mayoral elections and stuff that are 20% voter turnout, 30% voter turnout. And like when we have a presidential, we go, oh, 60% voter turnout.
Yeah.
That's preposterous.
Yeah. Well, and whenever someone says that whole, like, cliche, like, oh, if you didn't vote, you have no right to complain, they're only referring to presidential when they say that.
So as we were saying, voting locally is really important, and people, usually the local turnouts are so small, and it should be the other way around.
I should totally be the other way around, you know? And whenever someone's like, oh, if you didn't vote, you had nowhere to complain, they're referring to presidential.
Right.
And that's totally backwards. Like, you've never had a conversation, man, we got to fix this country. Well, who'd you vote for school board? That's a conversation you never hear. But it's one that we probably should have because, you know, when you do stuff in your backyard, that's where you can really get stuff done, and it really can help people.
And then also it sets a great example. You can go, well, look what we're doing. Look what Gail McLaughlin did in Richmond, California. You could do that in your town.
Right.
Or your county.
Right.
Or your state. And that's why I want her to run. Because she has look what she did, and she tried to get things done on a federal level, got shot down by the powers that be, but that's why if she becomes lieutenant governor, Now we have a real progressive as the second most powerful person in the state of California.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
She could run for Senate. She could run for Congress then. She could just help make California, maybe get California single-payer health care like we were trying to get, and then it was voted down by corporate Democrats like Anthony Rendon.
Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, Maria Estrada is running against him. For anyone that might not have voted yet today, get out there, cast a vote.
Yeah, the other person I interviewed her, Rosa Calderon, was in I think the 4th Congressional District. There's a lot of really cool progressives. Get behind them, check them out, get out and vote today. And, don't just wait for the general or don't just vote every 4 years. I know it's designed to make it hard to vote and it's designed to keep you home. I understand that. I understand the frustration. I understand, it'll never work, but it can. And Gail McLaughlin is an example of that.
Absolutely.
So I'm also voting for Allison Hartson. That's who I want to hopefully defeat Dianne Feinstein. I know there's several really good progressives going against Feinstein.
Wish that situation could have been avoided. I feel like we really... I have this nagging feeling that when you tally up all the progressive votes that will be split amongst 3 candidates, Pat Harris, Allison Hartson, and David Hildebrand, I have a feeling they might tally up to a total that would have been big enough to make the runoff. And that I don't know how this could have been prevented. I don't blame any one person, but I wish it could have been prevented somehow.
Yeah, and you don't want to do that thing of, hey, you should sit out, because that's what the corporate that's what the DCCC is doing, is going to progressives and saying, hey, you should sit out. So I don't want to encourage that behavior, but it's a valid point. I bet you're right. I hope one of them can sneak into the top 2.
I do too. Yeah, I sincerely hope so too.
So that's interesting. All right, any other races to talk about?
Who are you leaning towards for governor?
I think I'm going to vote for the Green candidate.
Okay,
because I just feel like I've given the Greens and peace and freedom and just not declared to state a party. Mm-hmm. I'm voting for many of them.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think that's what I'm going to go Green for the. I can't do Gavin Newsom.
I think I'm going to go for Delane Easton, even though there's a few. I mean, she's been on Get Your News On with Ron, and we kind of butted heads on a few things, but I think she's evolved a lot on the campaign trail, and I think that she and I just think she has just a better chance. Mm-hmm. So I think I'm going to go for Delane.
All right. Well, guys, thanks for getting involved, and, look for when the primaries are in whatever state you're in, and find the progressive or the Green or the independent or the peace and freedom, and give them your vote, because I'm sure a lot of states don't have the open primaries that we have in California and other states like Washington, where you have a top 2 system. So find the progressive and get behind them, and if there is no progressive running, then maybe you should run. Run in the general. I don't know, it might be too late for all that signature stuff, but... Thanks for watching the show, and June 20th through the 24th, we're going to Nashville, Huntsville, Alabama, Asheville, North Carolina, Louisville, Kentucky, and Atlanta, Georgia. Go to GrahamElwood.com, in the show notes below, or RonPlacone.com, and come out and support, and we'll see you at one of those shows.